Hey everybody, it's Rodrick Fox here. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my new YouTube series, Playing It By Ear. Playing It By Ear is a series dedicated to some in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at some of your favorite artists, some artists that you may not know, some local artists. We're going to get together, we're going to have fun, we're going to talk about life, music, and whatever else may come up. In this pilot episode, our special guest is Mr. Terrence Davis. Mr. Terrence Davis was born in Marie, Mississippi. He's toured with some of our greatest artists, Hammer, worked with some of our greatest artists, SWV, Aaron Hall. And today we're gonna look at in some behind the scenes, some things that you probably don't know about it. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to like, I want you to share, I want you to comment as we take this journey, Playing It By Ear. Welcome YouTube to Playing It By Ear. Now from the introduction, you know who our guest is. He's Mr. Why You Mad At Me, Mr. Rooster Juice, Mr. When the Tables Turn, Mr. Terrence Davis.
How you doing, brother?
Bro, thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So listen, we're going to jump right in so we can get in this because I want our listening audience to have a good understanding and enjoy this show. So I want, Terrence, the first question I got for you is, who would you say or how would you describe who Terrence Davis is? What you want our listening audience to know about yourself?
Terrence Davis is a native of Meridian from the south side of town, between the tracks on south side, that is. I come from a very spiritual family. My mom was definitely a spiritual woman, and my father was a blues man. So from an early age, we've been introduced into music, and I think as of right now, I'm just doing what's technically in me to do, you know, whether that was rapping and dancing, singing and dancing, in church choirs, whatever the case may be. Music has always been a part of my life. And now where I am right now in my journey, doing Southern soul and blues music, I feel like it's just a part of what was in me and what was to be.
Okay. So listen, man, I really want to dive in this thing. We're gonna go as far as we can within time. But I know you, or all of us knew you, like Terrence danced with Hammer. Like before we met you, before we heard about you, or before we saw you, we had already heard that. So I want our audience to know, like, where did you kind of already touched on a little bit, but it kind of leads us where we're going. Where did it start? Like, what was there anything initially that made you say, hey man, this is what I want to do, or like something you saw, a concert you went to? Like what happened? How did
that spark came from watching my dad.
Okay.
You know, my dad would put us all in the back room, and when he'd bring his friends over, they sit in the living room listening to music or singing together, whatever the case may be. And me and my brother would take the opportunity to sneak. You know, back then they had those beads that were in the hallway, right in the door. We sneak through those beads and listen and take in what was going on, as well as the music. So that spark came from my dad in music, as well as doing talent shows in school. You know, actually getting that feedback from talent shows in school made me feel confident in knowing I can do this. And I love bringing that type of joy to people that I saw. And it really pushed me to doing more and perfecting what I was doing, that we was able to record our first rap album in high school. And from there, man, the journey went from Hammer until now.
Okay. Now, we're not gonna skip over the Hammer part just like that, because and one reason I had to get you on here, because you know, man, we've been working together almost 15 years, something like that. But I don't think a lot of us that are my age and younger really understand what you've contributed to the music industry, not just here. And you've shared some old clips here and there of, you know, when you was on Arsenio Hall, when you was on the Grammys, when you was on award shows, and like you weren't just a dancer, you was, you know, so like kind of take us into that, because I think one thing that really is on my heart to do is really to let people know, anybody know Terrence, he's very, what's the word? He's sure in what he tells you, and there's a reason. What I'm learning, there's a reason you are sure in that. So, kind of talk about that, man. How did that happen, or some things that happened from that you learned from that you know is really helping you now?
Well, being prepared when we did decide to go into the rap part of my life, and I was with this young lady by the name of Treasure Shills Redmond and another young man by the name of Arthur Williams, and we created the group Sonic MCs at that time. And we knew that what we were trying to do, we needed to be perfected. So the time came where MC Hammer came to Meridian, Mississippi, Temple Theater in concert. And at that time, he was looking for groups to sign to his Busted Capital label. We met with another one of my classmates' mom, Miss Dorothy Stennis, in the auditorium. Some things happened that we were not able to go immediately to Hammer. So Miss Stennis saw me and Treasure sitting in the auditorium waiting, and she asked us what was going on. We told her what was going on. Miss Stennis went into the ballroom where Hammer was and asked Hammer, could these kids perform for you? They were promised to perform for you.
On the spot?
On the spot. They were promised to perform for you. Can they perform for you? And Hammer was like, sure. Everybody there was sitting, eating, and we came in, turned the box on. And when we turned the box on, the rest was, can you guys go with us to California tonight? And we explained to Hammer that, no, man, we're in high school. We're in high school.
You got algebra in the morning.
Come on, Doc. Exactly. We're in high school, and we're preparing to actually graduate. And we kept in contact with him. And the fall of actually 89 and 90 is when we actually moved out to California.
Wow.
Now, when moving out to California, we were moving out under the premises of he was going to sign the group One Cause, One Effect to consecutive album deals. And we got there, and we were working on the project when he was working on his movie, Here Comes the Hammer, as well as preparing for his international tour. Where something happened during that process where Too Big MC could not go with him on the international tour. So I'm in the studio, Treasure and I doing what we're doing, preparing for our album, and I get word back from Hammer overseas, start learning my material. You're going to be my next hype man. So I'm like, wait a minute, I just got here, Doc. What you mean the next hype man? I just got here. So everybody in the posse at that time were very excited about the fact that he not only chose me, but they felt like I could do the job. Okay. And now I felt like, Fox, that I was prepared to do the job, but not on this scale.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. We prepared ourselves back in Mississippi. Right. Everything that we were doing to perfect what we were doing, presented ourselves the professional way that when that door opened, in the Temple Theater in the ballroom, we were ready.
Right.
So it was no time to get ready. We were ready. Right. And that readiness proved to him that I could take on the role of being his hype man and doing what was needed to be done. And brother, when Hammer got back from the international tour and we start doing rehearsals, now you're talking about a brother that was showing up scared. Now I'm standing next to one of the major rappers in the country at this point.
Right.
You know, and his perfection level, my brother, was a totally different level, but he guided me in such a way that I could take on what he was asking me to do, but then at the same time, stay who I was.
Right. How old were you?
At that time, I was 18.
Golly. Man.
At that time, man, I was 18 years old, man. Right. 18, and when we went out on tour that summer, when we went out on tour, man, we stayed out on tour for like 2 years at that time.
Wow.
You know, there was 2 different legs of the tour, and so we're 18, turning 19, 20 on some of the biggest stages in the world with MC Hammer.
I remember, you know, people say, you know, Terrence used to be with Hammer. And you know that, but you don't know it.
Right.
And I think it had to be you or somebody shared a clip of you on our senior hall, and I was like, wait a minute. So that was for me, you know, just like I said, sometimes, especially now, we lose track of what people have done because we're so focused on current. So man, I think that's incredible that you know, somebody I can call a friend has been on the stage. So man, you know, he says something, I listen. Shout out to Hammer too. You know,
oh yeah, no doubt.
Hammer catch a lot of unfair criticism because of some things that happened towards the end of his career. But man, he was major. He changed the culture. Everybody had the pants during that time.
That's right.
My flat top wasn't all the way flat, you know, but
Hammer,
I had the part.
Man, Fox, Hammer played a major part in my life, and as well as Arthur and Treasure's life, in changing who we are and what we are, as well as giving us that opportunity to be on a world stage. But personally, Hammer and Louis Burrell changed my life and changed my family's life in a time where we needed help. And I could call on a help that was there for me and my family, and it came to my aid. And I will forever be grateful for Louis Burrell and Hammer. That's for sure, man.
Shout out.
That's for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna work on my moves later on.
Come on, Doc.
So you finish what with Hammer. You know, you do some other things. You come back here. So, like I said, me and you probably started, I knew you, but we really started working together closely around 2010, 11, somewhere around there. So, which kind of leads us to the present. So you go from Ham, you come back here, you're still doing things, but what kind of led you from that to this segment of your life now? Like, how did that apply or direct or whatever? How did you get here?
Producing. Once we left with MC Hammer, we started producing different artists, as well as we produced the soundtrack to What's the Worst That Can Happen, that movie, Above the Rim. A couple other artists, we landed songs on their album. Aaron Hall, I Miss You, part of the Dirty Dog production team. SWV, did a record with them, did a record with Deion Sanders. So the list started moving, Fox, with different rappers. And when moving from the actual rapping yourself, now producing, you're learning another part of the business. And as the business is transforming into that, I'm watching myself move away from the artistry of rapping and seeing how it's also translating into something that I'm not moving in, but I'm seeing that I can really help my livelihood and make money through producing. So when I did return home, I started producing gospel, because gospel was that thing that was going on around Meridian, as well as a couple other artists that I still did work for. But gospel was that bus that was moving at the time that I knew I could contribute to with what I had already learned working with such producers as a Felton Pilot and a James Early. Wow. These guys were really huge with training me and teaching me the production side. So moving into the gospel sector, and then moving from the gospel sector to actually getting the opportunity to come back home and work with my dad. Okay. Now, everything that started with me peeking through the beads, watching Dad. Yeah. Now I'm back at a place where I'm home, Dad's healthy and well, and we can actually get together and record and do something that I really wanted to do. And in doing that, that started the album Billy Ray Cole and Sons, Rooster Juice.
Shout out Billy Ray.
Billy Ray Cole.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I was around and seeing you guys, and just I'm learning. I've been trying to pull from everything I can. So I've been knowing you for a while, and I just want to share this with our YouTube audience. What is your creative process? Like, I know how you work. I got some stories, y'all, but I want you all, can you walk through, because you are a worker.
Yes, sir.
He is a very adamant worker. But share some things that makes you move the way you move from your creative process.
Sometimes it all starts with me singing into either my little dictaphone or my phone now. Either it's a melody, or whether it's some words, whether it's a concept, starting that way. And then I go back to my pre-production studio and actually start just working on the song that I have in mind and putting everything together structure-wise. And once I get it to that, then I turn it over to the maestro family. I bring it and I turn it to the maestro. The maestro then puts his hands on the concept and idea that I have. Now it really translates to a song. And once it has translated to a song, and we try different things to make it blend and make it tight like we want it to be, then the total song comes together, lyrics, titles, and things of that nature, and we have a real good song. And I owe a lot of that to you now. Come on, I know Terrence is over here doing a little something here, but when we come to the end of that thing, it's Rodrick Fox on it as well, my brother.
Y'all, he does a lot. Y'all, Terrence is he gives me, and I'm grateful for it, and I tell him he gives me a lot of credit, but he does a lot of stuff. And he's very, one thing about, I like to work with artists who are sure of what they want or have a vision, destination in mind. And he makes that so easy because he kind of knows what he wants. My sister's like that. Like, they know what they want. Yeah, they like, that ain't it. So, and it's a funny thing, he can tell you, we have tons of songs with just dates on them. We pull them up like, what's that? I don't know. So
we just went through that. We just went through it.
So I'm kind of moving through this, man, because I want to be mindful of your time and our audience's time. But kind of from your past to where you are now, to present, what would you say is different about music and the industry now than when you first kind of got in?
There was a lot of critiquing of sound music, because the way music was coming about, you brought music from a live standpoint in studios, and then everything started to be synchronized and produced through drum machines and things of that nature. But those producers who was doing that music did not lose the real essence of making a sound product. And that sound product took time, and that sound product took the talent of a lot of different people in different areas of creating and making that song and making it a viable product. Now I see we're moving so quickly because, you can pull up something on your computer now, and at the drop of a dime, you can place little dots and this, that, and the other, and you have a song that you can copy 18 bars, and you're done, and you come back and put a vocal over it and put a auto-tune to it, and within 15, 20 minutes, the song is created, done, and that's it. And some of what we're putting into or coming out of our computers and recordings, it's almost have a sound to it already, that it's fat, that it's punching, and that it sounds as if it can compete with what's out there. But Fox, like you go back and listen to some of that music that was done on that tape, and those guys at the board tweaking and working that thing to the perfection. That sound we have now really can't stand up to the sonic sound that was being produced there. So I guess what I'm saying in a nutshell is that it's almost like a microwave type of thing with music now. It's coming so quick. People are using the same sounds. They're using the same whatever, and it's sounding the same. Right. But then you had an identity to music, because depending on who that producer was as well, you could go to a different producer and get a different sound, and that sound was going to be banging because it was coming from that producer. Now it's hard to really tell what producer is doing what, because everybody's using the same tools. They're using the exact same things, and it's really hard to differentiate. And the music now is just so, I don't know, man, it doesn't have a happiness or a brightness to it. It just have like this monotone, this, just there. And it doesn't do anything for me, but that's why I see where it is translated to.
It's definitely subjective, because I was watching something they were saying, the guy was saying, the difference between analog and digital tape. And analog, you have to make a decision. Once you decide that's what it's being, we hit record, that is it. That's right. So it makes you more conscious or more intentional at the beginning. Now, I can save a session and, I come back to it later and change whatever. So you have more options, which sometimes takes away from the initial feeling. One of my favorite artists, he says he does first take. His vocal is always first take. Right. He said even if he forget the words, he loves the feeling. Right. So that's right. I know the younger audience probably would disagree, but it's one of those things that we have to bridge the gap between the two. I'm gonna throw some questions at you real quick, and I want you to give me kind of the first thing that pops in your mind. What's your favorite song to sing?
Wow, a gospel song.
You got to give me the name, man.
A gospel song. Man, gospel song. It's going to be Near the Cross.
Near the Cross.
It's going to be that.
What's the most popular song? Your favorite song? Favorite song to listen to?
Favorite song to listen to? Michael Jackson's PYT.
It's a story behind it, y'all. Favorite artist?
I only have one?
Yeah.
I can only choose one?
Only can choose one.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go with Michael.
Michael, okay.
Yeah.
Who would you want to collaborate with? They can be, even if they deceased, just anybody.
Collaborate with right now, got to be Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
Wonder, man. Yes.
Stevie.
Yes.
Most memorable moment?
Coming out on stage with Hammer and forgetting the very first line of the verse.
You know what? The next question I had was crazy story. I think they can go for that one too. Anything crazier than that story?
Crazier than that story? No. I recall a moment that we were working on the remix with Hammer with Felton Pilot, and we was in Capitol Studio, and it was an automated board that we was working on. But Felton had both of his hands on the board, and he asked me to come and put my hands on the board, and we was actually moving the faders down, like we were fading out in different areas. He wanted to move up and move down, and I was like, why are we doing this? And we can automate this thing, but Felton had this thing about what we were just talking about, the feel of, right. and that was one of those things that I learned from, and I'll never forget that. Man.
So was it a SSL or a Neve?
A Neve, yes sir, yes sir, okay. Yes
All
sir.
All right, biggest accomplishment.
As to date, my biggest accomplishment is Rooster Juice, singing with my dad and my brother.
Wow. That's dope, man. Best advice you've ever been given? That you still carry with you today? You still apply it today? What's the biggest advice? Best advice you've been given?
Not only tell the truth, but stand on truth. Yeah.
Stand on truth.
Stand on truth.
Business, y'all. Which kind of leads us to the last portion of this, interview, kind of the future. What would you change about, we talked about what's different in the industry, what's different in music. What would you change? You could change going forward from the day they come to you, Terrence, I need you, your advice, we're going to take it, we're going to move forward. What would that be?
If we could get back to that place where we had an A&R person, artist relation, artist development, people who really understood what was going to be needed in an artist once an artist reached that particular plateau of gold, or if they're going out representing the record label or the management team or whoever, production company, whoever. But getting back to actually putting in the time of artist development, because there's a time then where you can teach a person to accept the fact of becoming passionate about what it is they're doing and knowing what it is they're doing, knowing the business, finding who they are, and then knowing how to speak intelligently about whatever it is that's going on in their lives. But artist development, it's needed, man. We're putting people out here who are not ready to really take on performances, who are not really ready to take on interviews, who are not really ready to move in that space that we
talented.
Talented, but not just really just groomed. Right. And that's a thing, man, that I wish we could go back to.
I would definitely agree with that. We see it often, and even kind of what you said now. I was going to say this. I read there's probably 100,000 songs released daily.
Yes, it's a lot of music out there.
And what keeps people or gives people longevity is how they handle their career. Not just from a song standpoint.
And then not only trying to just put music out there because you may not feel like you're relevant at the time. So I just got to throw something out there. Right. And everything that you throw out there may not be good, but that's going to be a part of your legacy. It'll be a part of your catalog. So making sure that you're putting in the time to make good music. I kind of don't get this thing sometimes when people like, the iron is hot. I got to strike now. I got to strike now. Okay. Strike now while it's going on, but at the same time, put in the work that you're making good music. You're not just trying to put an album out every 3 months just to say I put it out.
Right.
You're putting out something that's really good music that you put time in.
That's good. A&R. What's next for Terrence Davis?
Wow, man.
That's the future.
Man, the future is so bright, man. I'm looking at a lot of different things that I'm actually seeing the success from because of the seeds that have been sown, and these things are coming back and showing to be good seed. And I'm really looking at trying to stay in my place,
right?
Understanding my place and staying there. The nugget about the album. Keep your nose out of my business. I stay out of my business. And my daddy was a blues man. It's actually showing everybody that, we could do Southern soul music, but we understand blues as well. Okay. So if a blues festival come about in the future, I know I have material that I can move into.
Right.
And if I continue to work in that arena, the next album can produce another blues album. Should something happen where we're doing Southern soul and it, something good from it comes, then when I'm producing another album, I know I can do that Southern soul sound as well. So I'm open to what's to come, but at the same time, staying in my lane. Definitely staying in the place that I have niched, and I think that's going to make for a successful Terrence Davis project in the future, as well as a good run.
Okay, stay in the lane. Last question for you. Now, I want to kind of piggyback on another question I asked. What advice would you give? I know I asked you what advice have you received, but in the future, or somebody coming to you, or who's watching, or who's coming next behind you, what advice would you give to them that you believe will help propel their career and what their endeavors?
Practice. If this is your niche, if this is your thing, practice and be ready. It was 3 to 4 years in high school. The door, when it was only open for that length of time. Everything that we did the 3 to 4 years were preparing us for that door to open. When that door was open, we were ready.
Right.
Everything that we put into, we took it seriously. We were perfecting it. So when the opportunity presented itself, we were ready. So not taken for granted. Everything that you're doing daily, don't take that for granted, because that's building you and building for that opportunity that someone comes and say, hey, I want you to do this. Hey, are you ready to do this? Hey, are you ready? Be prepared. Practice.
Practice, not the AI practice, but practice for real. Listen, I want to end this by just you sharing your contact info in it. Where are you at on social media? You know, I don't think people give out the numbers no more, but how can we find you? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Where can we find you, man?
Fox, on Facebook, it's Terrence Davis. On the Instagram, it's Terrence lowercase, and then it's Davis. And those are the only two that I'm just really on right now.
We gotta get you on this TikTok, man. We gotta get you on this.
We gotta get there,
TikTok. Listen, guys. Listen. Thank you all so much. This has been an episode of Playing. Matter of fact, this is the pilot episode of Playing It by Ear with the Terrence Davis.
Thank you.
Mr. My daddy was a blues man. And before we go, y'all, we're going to do a little blues. Can we do a little blues?
It's all right with me, brother. If it's okay with you.
Y'all get ready.
This time it's over. I made up my mind. Girl, I'm leaving you behind. No more crying, no more fighting. I'm so over you. Yes, I am so over you. You treated me wrong. I did wrong too. I was hurting, wanting love from you. No more crying, no more fighting. I'm so over you. Yes, I am so over you. Play, Fox. Shoot, shoot. Yeah.